Hello, my name's Louise Courtney and I am the module convener for EDM167 Second Language Teaching and Learning. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the module, but first of all I was going to tell you just a little bit about my background and experience prior to covering the topics in the module. So I am a researcher in second language teaching and learning. I was a practitioner myself, so I taught English in France about 20 years ago, and more recently I taught French in British primary schools and early secondary schools before coming back into academia and doing my PhD, which looked at the learner's motivation and progression from the transition from primary to secondary school, which is often problematic. So I have a number of years experience in teaching and research. So most of my research has been conducted with young language learners in the UK. So from the ages of 7 to 12 in primary school and secondary school. And I focused on measurement of progression, very interested in the development of learner motivation over time, particularly for young learners, and how that changes into secondary school. And also grammatical development, particularly in French. And most recently we've been working on a project in English secondary schools with a number of colleagues here in Reading and Oxford and Southampton, looking at the development of reading comprehension, strategies and decoding in classrooms with relatively beginner learners. So that's a little bit about me. So I've got quite a broad interest and knowledge in second language acquisition and second language teaching and learning. Now the module itself, really, language teaching used to be focused primarily on sort of methods and approach, communicative language teaching versus audiolingualism, for example. But the field has now developed to take a broader teaching and learning approach. So what we encourage and expect practitioners and teachers to really consider is not just how you teach, but also how learners learn, and what are the underlying theories that explain why there's variation in learner performance, and why learners learn the way they do or make the errors that they do, or make the progress that they do or don't make. So it's really, the module is around developing a sort of fundamental understanding of some of the key terminology in the field of second language learning, and also some of the key theoretical or theories of second language acquisition. So really we're going to look at a number of different topics that range from, like I said, the underlying theories, really informed by research that's been conducted both by colleagues and myself here at Reading, but obviously in the wider field as well. We'll also look at the teaching and learning vocabulary, which is a key part of any second language learning effort. The role of transfer, so what is the role of the first language and how can that be transferred into a second or third or fourth language. A session will be looking something that I'm particularly interested in, is individual differences, so we can look at the role of motivation in detail. We can discuss age of learner and what impact that may have, and what are the theories behind sort of the critical period hypothesis and the role of age. And also aptitude, why some learners, they may be as equally as motivated, but some will just learn quicker than others, or will attain higher levels of language ability than other students within their group. Also, we will focus on the theories of input and interaction and what implications that has for teaching and learning of a second language, so predominantly focused obviously in an instructed setting. And then we'll move on to sort of looking at a sort of skills-based approach. So what are the theories around the receptive skills of reading and listening? What is the research? What is the theoretical underpinnings? And then what does the empirical, the sort of real-world data tell us about how learners develop receptive skills of listening and reading, and how as instructors we can help them to do that process maybe more efficiently and effectively. Then the following week we'll turn to productive skills, so speaking and writing, and again the theoretical underpinnings, and also what does research say about how speaking and writing develops, what particular issues there may be, and what strategies have proven to be effective in overcoming some of those issues. And then the final week of content will really be looking at what do we mean by, particularly in an instructive context, the role of implicit and explicit learning. So should we teach vocabulary explicitly? Can we expect learners to implicitly pick up the meanings of words from the text that they are reading? So again, we will look at the underlying theories that will explain the difference between implicit and explicit learning, and look at research that's shown how that has a role within the classroom and for the teacher and for the learners. The final week would be your presentation. So that moves me on to the assessment. So in order to prepare you for your sort of final presentation, we do have a formative assessment in the module, which is really a small group work where you will divide into groups, or in the first week we'll divide into groups, and then you will take a topic, one of the weekly topics, and really you'll be asked to deliver a short, very short session at the beginning of that week to really discuss the topic of the week. So may it be individual differences of vocabulary. So really take a whole group discussion. So that will be some formative assessment that you'll get some feedback on your presentation skills and your engagement with the relevant topic that week. The final assessment is a 5,000 word assignment, and it can be of any topic that we cover, but the title will be agreed with myself. Basically, the format of the weeks will be, often you'll be asked to sort of read relevant chapters or research articles that are relevant to the topic that we'll be doing the following week, and sessions will involve a lot of group discussions, sort of input from me, but very much an interactive type session where you'll be asked to draw upon your experience as a teacher and as a second language learner, and really to discuss and critique some of the theories and methods that have been put forward in the literature thus far. So I hope that's given you a bit more of a flavour of who I am and what the module will be, and I look forward to seeing you soon.